Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm making a video that I've been wanting to make since Friday, October 3rd, 2025. This is the day that one billionaire musician by the name of Taylor Allison Swift released her 12th studio album, The Life of a Showgirl, which you can see right here. As a big fan of Taylor Swift and a fan of Max Martin, with whom she said she was co-producing this album with, along with Shellback, not to forget Shellback, a lover of Taylor's lyricism and narrative stories and pop melodies, especially the lyrics and the stories that she featured and focused on Folklore and Evermore, which, by the way, she explicitly said she was going to return to on this album. She mentioned this on the New Heights podcast. She said that Max Martin told her he really loved her narrative storytelling on Folklore and wanted to keep that in the making of The Life of a Showgirl while making bulletproof pop sounds. So I was particularly ecstatic to hear that this album was coming out and to hear it, especially this song called The Fate of Ophelia. As someone who obviously has studied literature and loves Shakespeare and loves Hamlet specifically, I was through the roof excited. So my dumbass pre-ordered the vinyl, which you can see behind me, and I even went to the album release party film, which was really just like a YouTube lyric video reel. And upon listening to the album, and especially upon listening to the lead single, The Fate of Ophelia, color me surprised that I was disappointed and a little confused as to which version of Hamlet Taylor Swift actually read.
Hamlet is who, or am I reading too much into all of this? And did you reread Hamlet before writing the song?
Didn't really need to reread it.
You kind of get it.
But I just love the idea that, like, you know, you saved me from love driving me mad.
Right.
Because that's what happened to Ophelia. Spoiler alert.
Oh, is it? And it will be a spoiler to some people as well.
Before I really dive in with an analysis of the song The Fate of Ophelia and how it ties into Hamlet, I did just want to give a little disclaimer that even though I am going to be critical in this video, I am actually a big fan of Taylor Swift. I'm kind of a late bloomer. It didn't really happen properly in a huge way until last year, where I set myself the challenge of listening to every single album in her discography from front to back, which actually naturally led into the release of The Life of a Showgirl. And prior to last year, I had obviously been a fan of some of her songs, like more of her pop hits. So like I had listened to 1989 and Lover, and I had actually listened to The Tortured Poets Department when it did come out. And I knew and really liked her earlier stuff, like Love Story and Our Song and You Belong With Me and We Are Never Ever Getting Back Together, 22, you know, the list goes on and on. But it really wasn't until last year that I really got to know the breadth and depth of her music backlog. So I started falling in love with her lyrics, the stories that she painted, and how personal she could be in those stories. I think she's very much deserving of being called one of the best songwriters of her generation. I'm always excited to listen to her music, and I was actually really excited for The Life of a Showgirl because it was my first proper pre-release where I pre-ordered things and I was excited along with other fans, like unlike previous albums where I just kind of knew they were coming up but I didn't really care and I just listened to it when I had the time. This one I was properly excited. And one thing that I really liked were the literary allusions that she sometimes dropped into her music. Of course, like most famously is Love Story, which is her own kind of teenager reworking of Romeo and Juliet, where the couple doesn't die and they end up together and the families reconcile and everything is great. It's a perfect love story. But she would also write Cassandra, which was on the Tortured Poets Department, and in this one she references the Greek tale of Cassandra, who was a prophetess cursed by Apollo to never have her prophecies be believed. all because she rejected his sexual advances. There are some tellings of this myth in which Cassandra and her brother Hector are found when they're young with snakes like licking their ears, or licking Cassandra's ears, and the snakes are what give her powers to see into the future. And I think all aspects of Cassandra are nicely explored on the song. Again, it's, you know, a song, so it's never going to be as rigorous as like a research paper, but I can see some details of the source material. Even the snakes are featured. She also has references to the rhyme of the Ancient Mariner in the song The Albatross. And so here the albatross plays initially a symbol of good luck to the sailors who are stuck on the Antarctic ice. And without any reason, the titular Ancient Mariner kills the bird with a crossbow, and then he is forced by his crew to wear the dead bird around his neck. The weight of his guilt he has to carry for the rest of his life. I thought Taylor did a good job of using this poem, or the albatross from the poem, as a representation of her fame and how she feels she weighs her partners down when she's in relationships. Her fame is like a burden that her partners have to carry. So the groundwork for me had already been set for successful literary allusions, interesting ones. I do believe that Taylor Swift is a reader. Do I think she is as prolific a reader as she lets on? Not necessarily, but that's okay. But she obviously does appreciate the written word. She is a writer herself, but basically there was a lot to make me believe that a song like The Fate of Ophelia could be successful. I thought this was going to be an opportunity to explore the complexities of a character like Ophelia. I had an idea, just given the title, even without hearing the song, that it was going to be about escaping the doomed fate of Ophelia, but I wanted to see, like, what is Taylor going to do? How is she going to bring on her talent in songwriting and bring out the different facets of her rich character? First, though, I think I do need to give a very quick synopsis of Hamlet, which is, of course, the referential text here. This play is Shakespeare's longest play. My edition, which actually is 44 pages of this big collection of all of Shakespeare's works. Ophelia in Hamlet is the younger daughter of Polonius, who is a counselor to the new king of Denmark. Ophelia's brother is Laertes, and early on in the play, he sent to France. And so Ophelia is kind of left to her own devices. So the new king of Denmark is Claudius. His brother, King Hamlet, has recently died, and Claudius has married his brother's wife, Gertrude. And King Hamlet has a son, Prince Hamlet, the titular Hamlet. Hamlet's uncle and mother inexplicably don't understand why he's still so depressed. It's like his father just died. Of course he's going to be sad, but they don't know why he hasn't snapped back together and gotten over it, basically. So they kind of want to keep a close watch on him. Polonius is involved. He knows that Ophelia is madly in love with Hamlet, and Hamlet claims to also be madly in love with Ophelia, but Polonius, because of what he sees to be Hamlet's kind of unstable sadness, he wants to keep a close watch on him. He warns Ophelia that he doesn't really think Hamlet loves her. And while this plot is going on, Hamlet is brought to one of the towers in Elsinore, the castle, where his guardsmen and his friends are, and they reveal to him that for a few days they have been seeing this ghost that takes on the appearance of the dead King Hamlet. And so one day Hamlet agrees to meet them between 11 and midnight to see this ghost and to try to talk to him. And so Hamlet goes one night. He does get the chance to talk to the ghost, and the ghost tells him that Claudius killed his father in order to gain power and to marry his mother. So from that moment, Hamlet is on a quest to avenge his father and kill Claudius, and kill everyone responsible for this. And a way to move his revenge plot forward is his decision to act like a crazy person. And part of acting like a crazy person involves not revealing to Ophelia his real plan to kill Claudius. So he is pretending to be mad and to not love Ophelia as part of his own plan. That's my interpretation. Not everyone views it this way, but to me, telling Ophelia that he doesn't really love her and that she needs to get herself to a nunnery, all of that was part of his plan to keep up with his cover-up, to not involve her in his revenge plot. Yada yada, we move along with the plot. Hamlet accidentally kills Polonius, Ophelia's father. Ophelia, who has cut off her romance with Hamlet and has been insulted to her face with, like I said, Hamlet telling her to get herself to a nunnery and that he never really loved her. She's already saddened by that, by like the quick psychological turn that her once lover has shown, but now her father, like her only confidant in Elsinore, has been killed. She's completely alone. Her brother is in France. Her father's now dead. Hamlet doesn't like her. She kind of blames herself, maybe for breaking it off with Hamlet and then maybe turning Hamlet crazy, which then in her mind led to him maybe killing her father. So she's confused, but her grief is compounded by many worries and anxieties. And then to keep it short, even though I haven't really, because it's kind of impossible to keep the summary of Hamlet short, but Ophelia meets her end by drowning herself. It's assumed that she's killed herself, but we don't see her doing that, we just hear of her doing that. Hamlet finds out. He was sent to England after everyone finds out that he killed Polonius, but a bunch of pirates attack his ship, and so he's forced back into Denmark. And when he comes back, the funeral of Ophelia is taking place, and he realizes what he's done and how his feigned madness has actually led to her death. And he admits that he's loved her this whole time. Laertes comes back. He finds out about Polonius and that Hamlet killed him. So in the end, there's a duel between Hamlet and Laertes. It's supposed to be just a simple duel, but behind the scenes, Claudius and Gertrude have this plan to imbue Laertes' sword with poison. Once he, slices and dices Hamlet, the poison is going to kill him. But they have a backup poisoned wine in case Hamlet is the one who wins the duel. They can lure him to drink the wine and kill him that way. Basically, things don't work out that way, and all of them die. And in the end, this Prince of Norway, Fortinbras, he's been kind of coming to Denmark throughout the entire timeline of the play. In the end, he is told by Horatio, I believe, Hamlet has been killed, this is his story, and then Fortinbras wants to honor him like a fallen soldier. So you see how many twists and turns and layers and depth there is to this play. And what we end up hearing on the song, The Fate of Ophelia, hardly touches on any of these. Ophelia in Taylor Swift's The Fate of Ophelia functions only as a symbol of female sadness and being saved by that sadness and by the fate of that sadness through a man, in this case Travis Kelce. Taylor's sadness, as we know from all the songs on the Tortured Poets department and just Taylor Swift lore and just knowing anything about celebrity gossip, was her singledom and all that she suffered through her ex-boyfriends, Matty Healy definitely being number one. Also Joe Alwyn. We know from songs like The Prophecy she was saddened that her wish of being in a loving relationship seemed to just never come true. It always fell apart near the end when she was really falling in love, and she was desperate and very sad. Not desperate in a pejorative way, just like humanly desperate to be happy, and saddened that it just never seemed to be working for her. The comparison and the usage of Ophelia just seems very superficial and frankly a little inappropriate. I think what she was going for was more damsel in distress, and there are maybe other literary characters or fictional characters that she could have leaned into, like even Rapunzel is a better example of this. But I don't see Ophelia as a damsel in distress who needs saving to be happy. In some interviews, I've heard Taylor say that Ophelia was sad for many years because of love, which, these are the things that make me think she didn't read this at all. Maybe she's never read this. I think she did a quick search and she read the Google AI summary or searched it on ChatGPT or something, because that's not Ophelia. Like I mentioned, Ophelia had many different reasons for grieving. I think the top one was that her father was just murdered, and that's what really set her over the edge. She was confused about Hamlet, but I feel like it was her father's death that really was her breaking point. And I don't think Ophelia could have avoided her fate just by the love of Hamlet, because the love was there, according to Hamlet. He actually did love her, he was just pretending not to. I don't think his public love would have helped her avoid that death. Maybe not killing her father would have, but that's not at all what is happening in this song. I think Ophelia is a victim of the patriarchy and the men in her life that use her as a pawn in their political schemes. I don't think her father really cared for her opinion. He was just giving her commands, and she lacked like a sense of self-confidence to have her own voice, so she just kind of did what her father wanted. Her brother was nowhere to be found, and even he was telling her that Hamlet, didn't really love her. Her own father was also working with the king and having people spy on her conversations with Hamlet to kind of check up on Hamlet. So her feelings, her uncomfortability were afterthoughts. But again, none of this richness is in the music or the lyrics whatsoever. Ophelia is just a sad girl who killed herself, and that's so much like Taylor, because she was also sad, but Travis Kelce helped her. In practically all the interviews, she brings up how she incorporated some of Shakespeare's lines from the play in the lyrics of the song and kind of reworked them.
I kind of I wanted to sprinkle some references in the bridge, so like the bridge references kind of some paraphrasing of some lines from Hamlet, so I did do a little brush up.
Most notably in the bridge, "'Tis locked inside my memory and only you possess the key." You would think that this would be a reference to a line about love, how only Hamlet possesses the key to her heart. No. In the play, Ophelia does say this line, and just to quote it exactly, it's "'Tis in my memory locked, and you yourself shall keep the key of it." She is in conversation with her brother Laertes before he leaves to go to France. And Laertes is warning her to be careful about Hamlet, that he doesn't really love her and she should stay away from him. He tells her that he's young and foolish, that she shouldn't really take him too seriously. He tells her not to tell anybody else, to keep it between the two of them. And that's what "'Tis in my memory locked, and you yourself shall keep the key of it" is referencing. So carving it out and putting it on the bridge and reworking it to almost seem like this romantic thing of Travis Kelce having the only key to her mind and her love and her heart has nothing to do with Hamlet. The song also mentions that Ophelia is in a cold bed full of scorpions. The poison stole her sanity. Not to be pedantic, but yeah, there are no scorpions in the play. There is a mention of serpents, but in the play, the serpents are something that the ghost of the king mentioned to Hamlet. He says, "The serpent that did sting thy father's life now wears his crown." So it's referring to Claudius. He is the snake, the serpent that tricked and schemed his way to the throne and killed the king of Denmark. No mention of scorpions or anything in relation to Ophelia. She also wasn't bedding with Hamlet. They did not share a cold bed full of scorpions. I think the poison was his love, but I wouldn't say it was the venom of Hamlet's love. It was more the venom of his feigned madness. And that was only one aspect that stole her sanity. And also, the second verse starts with basic facts about Ophelia. The lyrics are, "The eldest daughter of a nobleman, Ophelia lives in fantasy." Enough of this eldest daughter nonsense. Ophelia was the younger daughter. Laertes is assumed to be older than her. It was never explicitly said in the play, but you can assume that Laertes is older. He's allowed the independence to go to France. Also, he's a man, so you can take that into consideration too, but it assumes that Ophelia is younger, and there is no eldest anybody because there are two people. I don't know how no one in her orbit has mentioned, that it's not eldest unless you have 3 or more. I know that's like really pretentious and pedantic, I know, but if you're going to constantly put yourself up as this like literary heroine, you need to know like some basic grammar. And yeah, Polonius, you can say he's a nobleman. I think the lyrics were more trying to get at a just and fair and noble, in that sense, father. But it's interesting because I wouldn't say Polonius is that. Maybe Taylor's father is, but I don't think comparing Ophelia's family to Taylor's family is maybe the way to go, because, as I said, Polonius was murdered, and he was working alongside a murderer and counseling him, and he was controlling over his daughter, so I'm just not sure how you read this play and think, I'm gonna compare my dad to Polonius. So in the end, I think the song at best looks at Ophelia simply as a superficial metaphor for sadness, but in reality, I think the character of Ophelia deserved a lot more, seeing how complex she is in the original source. It was a big missed opportunity in my opinion. That is not to say that the song isn't catchy or doesn't have a really good melody or anything. I think it's important to be open-eyed, clear-eyed. Even your favorite musicians can have a wonky song here and there. There are worse songs on this album, so this is maybe in one of the top tier categories for the Life of a Showgirl, which says a lot about the rest of the album. But as a referential work, I think it was just very superficial. Maybe it brought new audiences to the play, maybe it inspired them to read it, which is awesome if it did. I don't think that happened. I think people like to tell themselves that happened, but I mean, there's never going to be research that proves that. I think people are just dancing and having fun to the song. I don't think they care about Ophelia. Taylor has written more impressive songs than this. I mentioned a few where I think her literary allusions do work, but also listen to Cold as You, listen to Treacherous, listen to Seven, listen to Ivy, listen to I Hate It Here. These are shining examples of her songwriting, in my opinion, not The Fate of Ophelia. And that is all for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know your thoughts down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you all next time. Bye!